friend of mine. I was really impressed. He's worked with, I think, only some of the companies, Air Products, Anderson Consulting, BP, the police, British Airways, British Olympic Team, Cisco Systems, City Group, Dell Computers, it goes on. I carry a copy of his book in my bag. His book, Success is a Mind Game. Is everybody ready for Steve? Yeah.
So good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Have you got value out of the data already?
Yes.
Fantastic. So as John mentioned very kindly, my book is called Success is a Mind Game. As a number of you know, a number of you have read, and a number of you have given testimonials for. So thank you very much. Maybe not all of you also know I do have a CD, surprisingly, by the same name. It is ostensibly looking at the links of how we perform at our best consistently. The book relates to golf and business. It just happens to be my passion, or has become that way. But as a number of people who have read the book already will attest, it's not just about golf. So far, people have improved their tennis, their squash, their skiing, even their lack of frustration with housework, which is the most surprising testimonial I've had so far. And what it's about is how do we be at our best consistently, regardless of what's going on around us, and which is very performance-oriented. But there's another aspect of the book that's relevant to marketing and networking and our business is more fundamental than that. And that is, as part of being at our best consistently in any situation, especially the newer situations that we might be going into that we're not familiar with, at the heart of that is how can we not just show up and pretend to be confident, but how can we actually feel confident? So Steve earlier on was talking about how do we market ourselves. And we spent a lot of time looking at referrals. A fundamental part of how effective we are and how well we work with business and people. How do we engage with people? So it's great meeting lots of people. We're all doing lots of networking there. But if we don't actually make a good impression, if we don't actually make an effective and quality connection with people when we do talk to them, we're probably not going to have an effective relationship, at least at the start base. So how can we show up in that confident way, but naturally feeling that way, is what I want to start talking about today. So it's a little bit of a different angle on Success is a Mind Game, but it is at the heart of what the book is about and the way I work with people. So we're at our best. Well, let me ask you this. Is there how many of you in this room this morning, and maybe not this morning already, but at some time, you've had a day when you felt absolutely great, the people you met were easy, the results you got were fantastic, and the day just kind of flowed? How many people have had days like that? At least one day in your life. Come on. Sorry. Okay. Is there anyone here that has not had a day like that? So we've all had that day, which is fantastic. So we know the experience. So the good thing about it is we've had it already. All we need to do now is learn, well, how do I do that more consistently? How many of you would also recognize that there are certain days, and hopefully this morning is not one of them, but there are days when you don't feel as confident, you don't feel as good, and it's hard work. How many people have days like that? Is there anyone that doesn't have a day like that? They're always on top of the world? We're human beings. So part of the reason my clients, and John kindly read out some of the companies I've worked with, some of the reason that they get their results faster, with less effort and less stress, is because they learn how to minimize those days. They learn what is it that takes us down that slope, and actually what are the signals to help us understand what's going on. How do I get myself back into that state of being at my best, of being able to connect to people and have a comfortable conversation and be really effective with them, really hear what they're saying, really maybe hear their problems in a way that they're not actually expressing, but we can see under what they're saying, which is the key of how to be successful. And that's fundamentally about what state we're in. And I want to talk about that today and look at 3.5 steps. And the heart, believe me, is very important. And actually, it's not very difficult. So we'll get to the end of that. But I've called this Lessons from the Top because recently I've been interviewing some people who have excelled in their field. Dave Kelly Holmes I met in the summer when we were both talking at the same event. She kindly took a photograph of each of us with our own books. John Solarco played football for Crystal Palace and Reading and Fulham in England. There's Tim Stimson, who played fullback for England Rugby, who had a great game on Saturday. You saw that? Been a long time coming, but they're maybe on their way back. So Tim's also a testimonial on the back of my book, where he kindly gave me that. And also more recently, and this is what gave me this title for the talk today, a name you probably don't know. I met her recently at a speaking event, but Cathy O'Dowd, South African lady, very down to earth. Anyone know who Cathy O'Dowd is? So a few people in the room. She was the first lady to climb Mount Everest from both sides. Quite a feat. And she's very humble about it, actually. What she'll say, and what she said to me in my interview with her, is that she just happened to be very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. There are other people that could have done it, but she just happened to be that lucky person. One of the things I was talking to her about, though, is that oftentimes people will use climbing Mount Everest as an analogy of how do we go for goals, how do we go for big goals, and the need for having a plan, having something you're going for, and having interim milestones to kind of get you going along the way. And I wanted to know some of the more, how much of that, what she saw about the relevance to business from her experience. The link between all of them, though, and I'll come back to what she said, but the link between all of them was one of the things where I work with my teams is not their technical, not the operational part of people's jobs, it's how do they function more consistently. And every single one of those people who have done exceptional things in their field and now work in business, and that's the link, and that's why I was interviewing them, and every single one of them said that at least 60% of what their achievements were down to the internal qualities and aspects of the people who were doing whatever they were doing. It ranged from 60 to 80% of their success, and the people around them, they claim, was relevant to the internal factors that people have. And we're going to look at those. But they also said that's just the same in business, from their experience in business now. So 20% of what we do, and the things we're passionate about what we do, is important. But 60 to 80% of how effective we are and the results we get are down to our internal aspects, our internal qualities and attributes that we need to bring to the fore more consistently. And that's what we're going to look at today. So what I do is help you get better results in less time, less effort, and less stress. How many people are interested in that? Especially in these days of the market's changing, we're having to work overtime. One of the things Cathy O'Dowd says is one of the keys that helps people be successful, especially something like climbing Everest, was not to become incapacitated by overwhelm, by situations and circumstances that get overwhelmed. The people that fail get overwhelmed by that, and they let them get stressed out, and that incapacitates them. So the ability to handle lots of pressure, dealing with an environment of change, and still being able to perform and make progress is one of the key attributes that Cathy mentioned. Now, you might think that Everest is a fixed goal, but every time people go up on that mountain, it is different. The conditions are different, the snow's different, the weather's different, the team they are with is different. So this is what I'm talking about. What I want to help you include today is what are the keys to accessing our natural confidence? And I'm saying natural because I believe now that we all have a natural confidence when we can learn how to access the state that allows us to have that come to the fore. Now, I also come from a person that when I was a teenager and when I was in my early 20s, I was very good at sports and I was reasonably okay socially, but my personal confidence level, I had very, very little. So I'm talking from a place where I've come from not having many, or a lot at all, to now understanding from what I've learned and now what I teach. Actually, we all have a natural confidence within us, and when we get to such a state, a lot of other attributes come out. And these are just some of them, not exhaustively, but just some that I've come up with, seen for myself, but also the other top people I've talked with. So in this place of natural confidence, we're able to stay calm under pressure. We're more connected to people. We know what it takes to be connected, rather than distracted while we're talking to somebody. We're more open to new situations and new problems. We're more able to be now here, rather than being somewhere but not really being anywhere near there. You're nowhere with the person. You're off somewhere else in your mind. Key is actually being now here, fully present and focused. And in that, you're able to be far more flexible in what you need to do and your responses to what happens. This place we're far more incisive and insightful. We're able to see things that need attention, and see new opportunities we can't when we're in a very distracted state of mind. We can all access a natural amount of determination to get results. And determination, it was again another key from all these people I've talked to. The things that they saw for themselves and the people around them that have been successful is a level of determination to keep going, especially when it's tough. As Tim Stimson said to me, you play rugby, you get knocked down a lot. And he says, what you've got to learn is know how, no matter how hard you get knocked, no matter how hard you hit that ground, you've got to be willing to get yourself up again and keep going and ignore the pain. And when the time's tough in business, I think we need to be able to do the same thing. Enthusiasm. We can all be enthusiastic, and we're going to look at that a little bit more, about how that comes into business. We don't have to know all the answers. Kathy says, I've had a very clearly defined goal at the top of Mount Everest. And in business, it's not always quite the same. And sometimes when we're going into new situations, we're not going to know the answer. And we've got to be willing to take steps, make progress, and learn from those. One of the biggest things for leaders to learn, as we grow up through our careers, we're rewarded for knowing the answer. And we start out that way when we're in school. We're rewarded for having the one right answer and getting it ourselves without anybody else. And that's not the work world. But one of the next levels is being willing to be comfortable to say, I don't know. I don't have the answer. But let's find out together. And then having the courage and creativity to find solutions, and especially being able to be empathetic with people. So to be curious and engaged and connected, and to be willing to find out, how can we help each other? One of the big things I've learned from networking in the last couple of years is, it's great meeting people and telling what we do, but how can we help each other? What can I do to help you? And the more we can be empathetic to people and know what they do and be curious, then we're going to be more effective. So an acronym, it's just made up. I never used to think I was creative. Now I know we're all creative as well. So, 3.5 steps to natural confidence. But first, a little story.